All right, so thank you again, for joining us on Getting to Know Elmhurst University. Today we are talking about the Learning Center as well as the Wellness Center. So my name is Chris Binder. I am a first-year admission counselor here at Elmhurst in the Office of Admission, and I am joined by a very special guest, Karina Rivera, who is the Assistant Director of the Learning Center. So Karina, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Karina Rivera, and like Chris said, I'm the Assistant Director of the Learning Center. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Learning Center today, some of the resources and support that we offer students. So am I okay to get started, or did you want to?
Yeah, just let everyone know we will have questions afterwards for Karina. So if you think of them, feel free to put them in the chat as they come along, and we will answer them at the end. So yeah, go ahead whenever you're ready.
Okay. I am going to share my screen. I have a couple of slides just to make it a little bit easier. And so everyone has a visual. Okay. So again, my name is Karina Rivera, and I'm the Assistant Director of the Learning Center. Before I get started, I wanted to just throw up here the Learning Center's mission. We really do believe that everyone has the ability to be successful here at Elmhurst as long as they have the appropriate tools and resources. And that's something that we like to offer students. And so our priority is to make sure that the students at Elmhurst are successful, but we also want to make sure that you develop some good habits so that you can be lifelong learners. And so that's kind of verbatim right there in our mission. So this is our small but mighty team in the Learning Center. We are searching for a new director of the Learning Center currently, as well as a coordinator for some of our STEM areas. But for now, we've got Dr. Tina Kazan, who is the Assistant Dean for Academic Success, Dr. Linda Harrell, who's the Access and Disability Services Director, and then myself. The Office of ADS is housed in the Learning Center, and I will talk a little bit about Access and Disability Services, but I'll also have Dr. Harrell's contact information at the end in case you have more specific questions for her. So before I get into the services that we offer in the Learning Center, I want to talk a little bit about our philosophy. So we are one of the academic centers on campus. A lot of the programs that we offer are a direct response to our student needs. So when students let us know that there is something that they think we should offer, or when we see that there is maybe a gap in the current support, we try to fill it. So this is really in an effort to support students academically, but also to make you feel like you have a sense of belonging at the institution, because we know that that's also really important. And a lot of our work involves access. So that is kind of that diversity and inclusion piece, but part of the Learning Center, and you can't really see it in this picture, but we don't have like doors on our Learning Center, and that's intentional. So again, it's part of that access piece, and we operate a lot under the principles of universal design learning. So all of our programs, all of the services that we offer, we want to make sure that they're accessible to all students. We also are really big on collaboration, and we encourage students to be as well. So we collaborate with each other in the Learning Center. We also collaborate a lot with faculty. We collaborate with other units on campus. So we work together for programs and events and things like that. And we have a peer tutoring model in the Learning Center. So that's one of our biggest services that we offer. We offer tutoring, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next slide. But we have a peer tutoring model, which means that all of our tutors are students who have taken some of those same classes that you are coming to tutoring for. And so they have that institutional knowledge. They can kind of, give you some tips on and strategies on the class that you're currently taking, talk to you about how they took notes and how they navigated that course. And so that's really, really important to us. We also like to say that we really want students to come early and come often. So this is kind of like boring research, but research really does say that students who come early and come often to the Learning Center are likely to do better in their courses. So it's not just coming to the Learning Center one time for that one paper or that one quiz, but really making a habit of it and coming often, maybe every week, a couple of times a week, to meet with a tutor to just make sure that you're really grasping the content. All right. So before I go into some of the services that we offer, I'm wondering if anyone's willing to maybe put in the chat what challenges you think there might be from the transition to high school to college. So are there any challenges that you feel are going to be pretty big in that transition from high school? And you can just throw it in the chat if you feel so inclined to. Okay, well, we can come back to that. The point that I want to make is that there are a lot of challenges from high school to college, and that transition is oftentimes really challenging. But in the Learning Center, we try to kind of help students make that transition a little bit easier with a lot of the services that we offer. So again, the biggest one, we offer tutoring in several different content areas. So we currently offer tutoring in about 13 different content areas. Music theory is a very new one. So we just added that this semester, and that came out of student need. So students were coming to us telling us that they really felt that they needed music theory tutoring, and we were able to get music theory tutoring this semester. So again, a lot of the services and things that we offer come out of student needs. So we really rely on you to tell us what it is that you need. A lot of the areas that we offer tutoring in are also in those general education courses. So at Elmhurst, we call it the integrated curriculum. But those are courses that you will be taking in at Elmhurst. And so we want to make sure that we're offering tutoring and just some extra support in those courses. We also try to have tutoring for students in the Learning Center, but also across campus. So in the residence halls, we also offer some tutoring. And so we just want to make sure that, again, it's pretty accessible. So tutoring is, again, one of our big services. And then we also offer academic coaching and academic workshops. So academic coaching is more of an individualized success plan. So you'll meet with a staff member with an academic coach, and you'll craft an individual success plan for you. And we can start off by meeting weekly, and then maybe as the term goes on, we'll meet monthly. It's really having someone to hold you accountable, to kind of help you get organized, to help you with maybe some specific content. And academic coaching is pretty limited, but we wish that we could offer it to all first-year students because it really is a great resource. And then finally, we also offer academic workshops that are campus-wide, so they're open to the entire campus. And they are, some of the topics include like time management, study strategies, things like that. And our services are free, which is the most important thing. You are already paying for some of these services in some way. And so we really, really encourage you to take advantage of everything that we offer. I see that there's one thing in the chat. Is it anything I need to know, or Chris, do you mind?
Yeah,
checking?
so it was from a student. She said that she's transferring from another college, so it's hard to get to learning professors' learning styles. That was a challenge for her.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's really important. And one of the things is that, you know, we can't always choose who our instructors are. And so a nice thing about tutoring and tutoring in the Learning Center and some of those peer tutors is, again, the students have that institutional knowledge. They can kind of talk to you about how to navigate the course, how they navigated that instructor. And then it's also nice to just maybe have someone else explain to you some of the concepts. So have a student explain it to you, maybe versus your instructor. Though your instructors are also a huge resource, and I'm sure, you know, Chris has talked about this, but being at a small school, that's one of the perks, is that your instructor is going to know your name, they're going to have office hours, and so they're a really big resource for you. These are some of the content areas for academic coaching and workshops. So I mentioned a couple of these already. The academic coaching curriculum and the workshops overlap. So if students don't feel like they need an academic coach, like a one-on-one meeting every single week, we encourage them to take advantage of the workshops. So this semester we had a bunch of workshops kind of around midterms that had to do with a lot of topics like, note taking. We did something about stress and anxiety. And so we try to make sure that the workshops kind of correspond to the time of year. And there are many more topics than this. These are just a couple that we have. All right, let's see. So the next slide is going to be a bar graph that is going to show you the population of students that use our Learning Center. Before I go to the next slide, maybe think about what population of students you think uses our Learning Center. So think maybe first year students, sophomores, juniors, seniors. I think people sometimes have a perception of who uses a Learning Center, who needs a Learning Center, but you might be surprised in what you find. So it's pretty evenly split, which was actually pretty surprising when we pulled this data last year. So this was the last academic year. But as you can see, it's pretty evenly split. So first year students are still the biggest population of students that use our Learning Center. But after that, juniors, sophomores, juniors, and seniors use the Learning Center pretty much the same amount. We have always had a pretty high junior usage. This past year was actually sophomores that were the second biggest users of the Learning Center. But before the pandemic, it was first year students and juniors. And that is probably due to the fact that we have a lot of transfer students at Elmhurst, and then also junior years when you're maybe taking more of your major courses and the curriculum maybe gets a little bit heavier. So yeah, first year students and sophomores this past year were our biggest users of the Learning Center. So I always think it's interesting just to kind of look at this so that people can see that it's, for the most part, pretty evenly split. And so, all students really use the Learning Center. And then I've also just got the top 5 student reported majors that come into the Learning Center. They don't really correspond to the list of degrees conferred, but it's pretty close. We have a lot of first year students that use the Learning Center who perhaps are not quite in their program yet. So we have a lot of education majors at Elmhurst, but sometimes in their first year, they're not in the program. So they might not put that down as their major when visiting the Learning Center. So that's just to say that these are the most reported majors, but we really have students from all different types of majors using the Learning Center. Okay, and finally, these are just some other programs that we offer in the Learning Center. So again, a lot of these came out of student need. So embedded tutoring, there's a tutor in the classroom with the students. So we've got embedded tutoring in a Calculus 1, Calc 2 course, and then in one of our first year seminar courses. So this just means that there's a tutor in the classroom with the students. They're maybe doing problems on the board with the class, and then they're also staying after class, right after the class, so that they can work with students if they have questions and things like that. So there's a tutor in the classroom ready to work with them as soon as they get out of class. We also offer study groups in a couple different courses. Some of the courses that we have found students just really need that extra support in. And these are tutor-led study groups, which means that our tutors are showing students how to build successful study groups, how to make them be productive, so that students can hopefully go off and form their own study groups in really any of the courses. And we also offer after hours tutoring. So this is the tutoring in the residence halls that I mentioned before. But on Monday nights, we have tutoring from 7 to 9 p.m. in one of the residence halls. And this was just another program in an effort to bring tutoring where the students are. So our, our typical Learning Center hours are about 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then on Monday evenings, we have some additional tutoring. We also have online tutoring, which was a direct result of the pandemic. So we had to be completely online last year, but this year we've given students the option to get online tutoring or have tutoring in person in the Learning Center. So it's just nice to have that flexibility. And then the last thing is the Learning Center Resource Corner. So this is a website that we created to give students access to resources pretty much 24/7. So there are videos, there's handouts, there's just a lot of good stuff that's tutor generated. And it's available to students whenever they want to access it. So there's videos on how to learn online, how to organize yourself, how to start the term strong. So there's just a lot of really good stuff on there. And again, it's tutor generated. So our tutors really sat down and thought about, okay, what are the things that I would have really liked to know as a first year student? And they sat down and put some materials together. So, and the URL for that is there. So you're welcome to access that whenever you want. It's just elmhurst.edu/LCRC. And I'm going to just spend a brief moment talking about this. So it's really easy to access all of our resources. We have an app on the Elmhurst University portal. So when you're admitted as a student, you'll have a portal login, and it's called My Tutoring, and you can access all of the schedules, all of the workshop times. It's just kind of a nice one-stop shop for you to kind of see all of the services that we offer in the Learning Center. So I'm going to talk a little bit about access and disability services, but before I do, are there any questions about tutoring, about maybe some of the things that I just talked about?
We do have some kind of coming in and out here, Karina,
Okay.
just so you know. So
Yeah, no problem.
admitting another one here.
Do you want me to go back and talk about anything, or?
No, I think we're good. I think we're good. We can keep moving forward. And if they have more questions at the end, welcome in, comment. We are currently moving on to talking about accessibility and disability services on campus, just so you know. But thanks for joining.
Yeah, and feel free to put any questions that you have in the chat. So again, I'm going to just talk briefly about access and disability services. I will have Dr. Harrell's contact information at the end of this presentation. Dr. Harrell is the Director of Access and Disability Services, and so she will be able to answer your questions a little bit more specifically. But we are required by law to make programs accessible to students with disabilities. Any school that receives federal funding is required by law to do that. And our Access and Disability Office is currently housed in the Learning Center. So that's why I'm talking about it today. There is a process for accommodations or for requesting and receiving accommodations. There's a lot of information on our website, and so that'll also be kind of at the end of this. So if I'm kind of zooming through these quickly, you can access all this information on our website as well. I do want to say that the main thing to note when thinking about requesting or receiving accommodations at the university level is that there should be documentation, and there will also need to be a meeting with the ADS director. And all of this needs to be had before the accommodations can go into place. A major difference that I want to highlight between high school and college is the self-advocacy piece. So students need to request accommodations in college. Just because you have an IEP or you had accommodations in high school doesn't mean that they're directly transferable. So you will have to contact the Office of Access and Disability Services and set up a meeting to get those accommodations in place. And the accommodations also need to be renewed every semester because you'll have a new set of classes. The ADS office will send a notice to your instructors about any students who have reported accommodations, but it will be up to you as a student to approach your instructor and discuss the accommodations a little bit more thoroughly. So self-advocacy is a really big part of it. And I just wanted to highlight some of the most common student-reported disabilities here at Elmhurst University, with mental health being the #1, and that includes depression, anxiety, ADHD, OCD, all of that. And these are also the most common classroom accommodations here at Elmhurst University. So you can kind of read through these. This is not an exhaustive list. There are a lot of classroom accommodations. There are also housing accommodations, and I think there's dining accommodations, but these are the most common. That's really all that I have. I would love to take questions if you have them. I think I see a couple things in the chat, so I'm happy to answer questions that you have. This is my contact information, so you're welcome to send me an email if you have other questions. And this is Dr. Linda Harrell's contact information, as well as our website links. You can just type these into your computer and it'll take you directly to the Learning Center website, as well as the Access and Disability Services website. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Karina. Appreciate it. So we have had some more traffic, some more people coming in here too that I'm admitting. So welcome everyone who was just joining us. Thank you for logging in. So Karina Rivera, she has just given us a presentation on the Learning Center and just access and disability services. So as you saw in my email, that is our topic of the night. So please ask any questions in the chat or feel free to unmute yourself. If there's maybe a question you have about tutoring at Elmhurst or what kind of academic support that we offer to students, Karina is the best person to answer your questions.
Hi, I have a question.
Sure.
My name's Elizabeth. I am transferring from a university in Maryland. So I'm a little bit of a different population than what you're presenting to. But I'm just curious, what is the tutoring and learning like for the adult learner population?
So all of our tutoring is really geared towards some of the courses that some of the most popular courses that some of our students are taking, and it really does depend on student need. So I did mention like that music theory class, for example, it comes out of student need. Can I ask what your major is or what you're planning on studying at Elmhurst?
I am finishing up my major in business.
Okay.
I want to major. Oh,
yeah.
Am I interested?
No.
I want to major in zoology or marine biology.
Okay. So you're going to be taking a lot of biology and probably science courses. So for Elizabeth, you said finance, right? Or business?
Business management.
So the business department actually has, that's one of the kind of exceptions. The business department has tutoring in-house. So they do their tutoring in the business department, and I think they're in Lehman Hall. And so there are some departments like that who have a lot of like the economics courses, business courses, finance courses. Their tutoring happens over there in that department. And so you would get your tutoring, from that area. But as far as adult learners, I mean, all of our services in the Learning Center are really for all of our students. And so we do have, like I said, a large transfer population, and all of our services are also geared for transfer students. We are also seeing an influx in graduate students at Elmhurst University. And so we realize that that's definitely an area that we need to fill a gap. And so we're always open to kind of, talking more about, what services you feel you need. But our academic coaching, our academic workshops, all of our tutoring, access and disability services is really for all of the student populations that we have.
Okay. And one last question.
Yeah,
it does. So my last school actually had learning centers that were targeting vets. Do you guys do something like that? Because, sometimes we could be a little more off our rockers. So just for that support and knowing that sometimes we learn a little differently, do you guys offer stuff like that? Or is it just a general learning population and that's about it?
Just for different learners, like is that what you're asking? Just support for different learners? Or I'm not sure I understand your question, sorry.
So like most schools have designated vet centers within the school community just to help with veterans who are transitioning between schools. and to give that support also. So just like you have like for the freshmen and juniors, like I said, vets tend to be a little bit different. So I'm just wondering, do you guys have something like that?
We do have, I think like a veteran advocate, or I'm sorry, Chris, if I know that we have an office that does support veteran students, and it's actually the person who works with our vet students is right next to the Learning Center, and he has like personally brought over some students to me just to kind of help maybe get them signed up on my tutoring, or maybe hook them up with a tutor who is more experienced, or maybe knows some of the content a little bit better. But I don't know exactly like what the name of the office is. I'm sorry, but I know we do have some vet support.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. So Elizabeth, if you've applied to Elmhurst, or when you apply to Elmhurst, there'll be a spot for you to mark in your application that you are a veteran student, and we have a specific counselor who works with all of our veteran students, and he will work in combination with our veteran support office to make sure that you're getting all the services you need on your transition into Elmhurst, and then that office will be available for you as you're a student at Elmhurst.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, welcome in, folks. I see a question here in the comments from Denzel. It's a little bit more admission-based, so I can answer this for you, Denzel. Yes, we do have a computer science major, and it is pretty robust, and we have a lot of popularity that surrounds it. So definitely something to check out. During the month of January, we're going to be having webinars just like this for each department. So you'll be able to join the computer science one. I'm seeing some questions that are a little bit unrelated to the Learning Center, and I just want to emphasize, while we have Karina here, are there any last questions we have for her about the Learning Center or access and disability services? And then I can definitely answer some more of these questions once we do that. So are there any final thoughts about our presentation tonight?
Well, the majors that you have, like, I'm really interested in zoology and marine biology. So do you have any majors or sub-majors that specialize in that?
Yeah, so we don't have any partnerships necessarily because both of those are going to require additional education. But most of our students will, major in biology, and then our graduate pre-professional program, Erica Ashauer, she will work with you to apply to different master's level programs to earn that special certificate. So, all right, well, I can continue to answer these questions as they come in. And Karina, we're going to let you go. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. And you all have her contact information. She had it up there, but if you need to get in contact with her, once we conclude, I'll put my information in, and I will make sure to connect you with her if you have any questions.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Is it in the chat?
Thanks, Karina.
I can go ahead and I'll put my email in the chat before I go.
Okay, thank you. And Jay, to answer your question there too, we do have sports. We're at Division III athletics.
Okay, do you have football? What? Football, wrestling, those?
Awesome. Jay, yes, yeah, we have football, wrestling, baseball, soccer, all that good stuff. I do have a small presentation that I'm going to present on the Wellness Center here, and I just want to answer this question about majors in education. So Jocelyn, yes, we have multiple majors in education. We have secondary, elementary, middle school certificate program, and special education are our main ones there that we offer. All right, so I'm going to transition here to talk briefly about the Wellness Center on campus. So this is just going to be basically nurse practitioners, people that you can receive services from if you're feeling under the weather, if you need, essentially, healthcare services that are provided for you by the university. So let me just pull this up. Thank you all again for hopping on. Really appreciate that. I'm going to share my screen here, and if we have any more questions, same thing, toss them in the chat. We can definitely talk about them as we move forward. So, all right, we talked about the Learning Center already, so I'm gonna skip through those pieces. All right, so the Wellness Center. So the Wellness Center is an office on campus where you can go to receive services for all healthcare services. So it's available to all students. The hours are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4. It's located in the basement of Niebuhr Hall. Niebuhr Hall is one of our residence halls, so you can access it down there. They are working on appointments only right now. So they used to have walk-in services around lunchtime every day, but they are strictly appointment-based only. All services are confidential. So we understand that, right? Your health and your decisions that you make with your health are confidential services. So you work specifically with our nurse practitioners one-on-one, and they keep all records confidential. Many health services are going to be provided for free or at an extremely low cost. So here are some of the services that are provided to our students. So some basic health services, right? Primary care treatment. Let's say you have a cold or you have a sinus infection. They can treat you and prescribe medication to you to the local pharmacies. We have pharmacies that are walking distance from campus. If you need nutritional guidance or any additional medication, they also have some different gynecological services. So pregnancy tests, contraceptive counseling. We'll talk more about our counseling services at the end. They do offer various vaccinations. If you need any sort of vaccinations, like the flu vaccine, I know comes around every year, they do offer that to our students, which is really great. And sorry about that. The Serenity Room. So the Serenity Room is kind of a therapeutic space where students can go to. It's kind of meant for any sort of seasonal, maybe depression that students might be feeling. So the room is a meditation kind of relaxed room where you can go where the temperature is warmer, and there's artificial sunlight that they provide to give you some of that vitamin D that you may be lacking in the wintertime. So, all right, counseling services. So this is super important, something I want to emphasize. Life is hard, college is hard, right? No matter where you're at, I think having a counseling space on campus that is free is something that's super valuable, and not every school is going to have this. So we offer up to 30 sessions while you're at Elmhurst. You get up to 15 sessions per year for free, both individual and group sessions. So if you want one-on-one counseling or group counseling, you can receive that type of support from our licensed clinical counselors who are professionals. So there is unlimited group counseling there, which is awesome too. And they offer self-help resources, free screenings. They can also prescribe some medications if you need any sort of medications and comorbidity with, any sort of services that you're receiving. They can help you through that, which is really great. All right, so when we're talking about immunizations, these are just kind of a list of the general immunizations that we are going to require from our students. So really all the typical ones that you would have needed to attend high school or another university, if that's where you're coming from. In terms of the COVID-19 vaccine, we did require that for our students this past year to receive the COVID-19 vaccine, and there was an option for students to submit a religious or medical exemption to be exempt and participate in weekly testings as opposed to the vaccination. So that's kind of what has been our approach to the vaccine. But yeah, pretty much everything standard there that you're going to need no matter where you go. And I know that was kind of quick, but I want to make sure there's time here for us to ask questions, whether that be about Elmhurst as itself, as a whole, the university. So I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.